You were saying a little bit earlier that you started Sublocade in 2013. Do you want to kind of tell us how you got in that trial? And I think you said earlier too that you actually got paid to try Sublocade. Is that right?
I got paid $12,700 over a 6 month period of time, plus six 300 milligram shots, plus 2 trips to the University of Michigan Health, like their medical hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, it was supposed to be on a private jet. It ended up being on a 4 passenger Cessna. I don't know if you know what that is. It wasn't
Yes.
very, it was a little on the scary side. But so I was an extreme opiate addict. I was using about 5 to 7, um, sorry, I have cognitive delay, 5 to 7 30 milligram, like the little blue ones, a
Oh, the
day
Moxie
just to
Blues. Yep.
stay out of withdrawals. Yeah, just to stay out of withdrawals. And
Okay.
to feel anything, I would like chew the green ones that have like the stuff on the outside of them. We called them Skittles. So I was
Mm-hmm.
using so heavily and like a really heavy way. And I just couldn't get off. And I had some other friends who did the study, but it was like they would do this study because they just wanted like the first 2,000 or whatever that you got after the first shot,
Mm-hmm.
or even before the first shot, like right before the first shot, you get like 1,800. So they could go buy more drugs. And I'm like, you guys are seriously crazy. Like, this is state of the art treatment. Like, what are you talking about? So check in, we're talking like 72 people, goes down to 14 overnight. You have to be what they consider in withdrawals, the cows and the current opiate withdrawal symptoms. I'm the only one who made it the full 6 months and did the full study. A lot of people got kicked out because they were using, you could use anything except barbiturates, benzos, and other buprenorphine products. So like I even came in accidentally one time, had used PCP, and I wasn't clean. I wasn't recovered at the time, but the PCP was like in my weed. Um, and I didn't get kicked out for that. Um, they wanted people to stay in the study. And I think that's why it took a long time to get the clinical trials to get it out, is because everybody was so engrossed in, this addiction is so engrossing, and it takes over I had friends, so there was 5 of us, 5 females who got the shot. 3 of them were still using $100 worth of heroin a day
Oh my.
after the shot. They couldn't
Wow.
feel anything,
Wow.
nothing. Rachel Hawkett, I'll use her full name because she's passed, rest in peace. Um, she came in withdrawals because she thought she had to come in withdrawals. And I've never seen anybody so sick in my whole life. She came in, she had been taken Dilaudid, shooting Dilaudid. And she got clean for a while, not at that time, but at another time. And then she passed away last February. She was the last one, besides a male who didn't stay in the study but did stay alive. It
Mm-hmm.
was only me and him are the only ones that are alive from the 14, all overdosed. Now
Wow.
I did completely go into recovery 5 years ago, June 10th, 2018, and my recovery family there, I lost 11 in the last 2 years to the same thing, to fentanyl overdose. So I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm on a battlefield. And so even though I suffer a lot of mental health delay, I have a little bit of brain damage. This is super important to me. And I know that Rachel and Christian and everybody else who's up there, who's free from, the chains of this addiction, but who wants everybody else free too, it's important to them. Because this is it. We're not weak. You guys, if you're fighting, if you're still struggling, you're not weak. If you can't lower your dose of Suboxone or your methadone or your kratom, you're not weak. If your buddy is taking less than you, that doesn't mean that he's stronger than you are. This mighty molecule morphine is stronger. It's just stronger. It's going to be stronger. And until we use medication assisted treatment and end the stigma, we cannot beat this opiate crisis. We just cannot. And we have to beat it.
Yeah. Yeah, what the scary thing is that it just seems like the deaths just keep climbing. I'm sure you've known and heard that as well. But like with the how strong these drugs that they're making these days, it's just like, thinking back to the time when you were in active addiction versus how strong these drugs are in today's world, it's like a totally different ballgame at this point. And it sounds like you've lost many people, as have I. Even back in the day when these things weren't as strong, I still had lost a lot of people to overdose. So it's just so scary to think, but it's good that they're finally getting Sublocade out there and the information is getting out there finally. Have you heard about Brixadi yet?
Yes, my concern, and I put that on the comments, my concern is Brixadi doesn't have a naloxone in it. And so they're suggesting that you prescribe it with their naloxone, their cheap version of naloxone. But we know that when you've got a needle in your arm and you're ODing, you're not going to stick anything up your nose because you can't breathe. And that's where the difference with Sublocade ends the opiate crisis, because you cannot. So at the end of the study, there's a PET scan. I don't know if anybody's familiar with what a PET scan is. It's like a radioactive dye that goes in and you have to go in like this big tube, real scary thing. I can't explain it real well, but you can Google it. So at the end of the study, you have your 6 months of shot. The 7th month, so 28 days after the last shot, you go and do the PET scan. Before the PET scan, and they didn't tell me this, they gave me a huge, like whatever was my weight adjusted dose of fentanyl, like hospital grade fentanyl, to see if it still blocked it. I got up and walked out of there and smoked a cigarette. I had no idea I had it. It was still blocking to that effect. I am a migraine sufferer, and I didn't suffer migraines for 2 years. Now, I guess nowadays you guys get like Novocaine or something when they give you the shot, the Sublocade shots. We did not get that. It hurt a lot, like but it was worth every inch of pain. Yeah. But that's my concern with the Brixadi. So for somebody that's more like, the Brixadi is basically like a Suboxone patch in a shot form.
See, I
So
think
Suboxone patch without the abuse potential.
so. Okay, so I guess maybe we can figure out where I'm not understanding what you mean, like, because both of the ingredients are the same in Brixadi and Sublocade. They both only contain buprenorphine. Neither of them have the naltrexone, naloxone in them, right?
I haven't looked at what Sublocade, obviously there's a lot of different kinds, but it contains Sublocade, the Cade part, that's the block. It contains a naloxone. I haven't looked at it recently, but we can go look again. That's the main thing, is that blockage, that it blocks that opiate receptor.
Yeah, I think.
But like I said, some people don't want that opiate receptor blocked.
Yeah, yeah. So I've actually
You can look at it. I mean, we can Google it.
No, I already know. I look at this stuff like all the time. So I definitely know that Sublocade doesn't have that in it. The only ingredient in Sublocade is buprenorphine, and that's the same ingredient that's in Brixadi. So they literally should be the same medication. I've done a lot of research on this stuff, and I've heard some people think
But the Brixadi,
Go ahead.
the Brixadi suggests on its dosage suggests specifically to prescribe with the naloxone.
And the reason that they do that is, so what they're saying by that, and I've talked to some people that are still in active addiction who are in fentanyl addiction, and people who are on Sublocade now, and they take the fentanyl, it's breaking through the Sublocade. So the reason that
Oh my goodness, I would imagine, because it's what, like elephant tranquilizer.
Yes, yeah.
You're right.
So that's why
Yes.
Brixadi is recommending that they give them the Narcan shot. They
Okay.
prescribe that because people are still using
Right.
hero or fentanyl on top of Sublocade and
Right.
on top of Brixadi. So
Yeah.
I think that's why
I
they
know they do.
recommend. Yeah, I'm sure
That
you've
ma-
heard that too.
that
I've
makes
heard a lot of
sense.
people say that. So,
I,
but as
yeah, I
far as
watched them do it while I was in the study.
really, oh my gosh,
like spending the money from the study on heroin to use that they couldn't feel. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But the fentanyl that they're getting is just something completely that these studies didn't account for.
yeah.
They were accounting for up to hospital grade fentanyl. That's what they blocked,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't. That is just crazy.
Yeah, it's so
And I
scary to
think
think
I
about
thought
that.
I heard something recently, and I'm out of the loop with opiates, but I thought there's something new that is completely resistant to the naloxone or the Narcan.
Oh yeah, I think you're talking about the what is it called? It's like the new super dope that they're referring to it as. It's like even the Narcan shot can't revive people because it's so dang strong. I think it might be they call it benzo dope. I think is where
Yeah,
they're putting benzos in the fentanyl, so it's like extra super tranquilizer, like knocking down freaking elephants like they're nothing. So yeah, it's
crazy.
like that's really scary to think about. And that's one thing that always, like when I think back when I was in active addiction, it makes me, like some people say, like, don't you ever like think about, do you ever think about relapsing, or do you get, these temptations or anything like that? And I'm like, hell no. I was paranoid back when I was taking the real blue 30s. I was super paranoid because I could
Hmm.
oftentimes I would feel my heart was about to stop. And so to be out there doing that stuff in the
Yeah,
streets these days with whatever the heck is going on out there now, I would be paranoid to like the max level. I wouldn't dare to touch these street drugs out there right now. But I was
yeah.
gonna
No,
go.
I believe in cannabis as medicine, but you cannot buy that on the streets these days either. Don't even buy weed on the streets. If it's the streets or nothing, it's nothing because they're
Mm-hmm.
putting fentanyl and wax in carts and like just stay away from it. In crack, I saw it's like just say no to all drugs for now until that we get this fentanyl stuff under control. It's deadly.
Yep.
Don't die. Please don't die. Stay alive.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing
I'm
that you
actually going to
said.
call that and go make dinner for my kids.
Okay, you got to get off.
If anybody has any questions, actually, if anybody has any questions, I'll answer. I still have a few more minutes.
Okay, let me throw out a couple questions then, because I know a lot of people like to hear about the dosing. So I'm assuming that were you on Suboxone before you switched to Sublocade?
Okay, so you go in on whatever drugs you're on. I used
Mm-hmm.
like 530s that day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 12 hours of withdrawal, 14 days of the subs that go under your tongue, not the Suboxone, not the strips, but the actual little orange pills. I
Mm-hmm.
went all the way up to 24 milligrams of that.
Okay.
And then 14 days of that, and then my first Sublocade shot, which was 300 milligrams.
Okay. And how many shots did you have and of what doses?
6 total shots, and all 6 were 300 milligrams.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit different. I'm sure you've heard that they do like 300, 300, then 100 after that now. I don't know if you've heard that.
I didn't need even half of what they gave me, I assure you.
So it
It
was
was way
way
overkill, but
okay.
yeah,
And would you say that there was a withdrawal from it? Was it different, like a different type of
none,
withdrawal? Nothing?
nothing. I can't
That
even tell
is,
you when it wore off, to be honest with you.
oh my gosh.
There was still one piece of plastic left in my stomach for like
Mm-hmm.
6 months. They said it wasn't releasing medication, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was, but you could feel like, because I'm thin, you could feel like the piece of like plastic basically is what it is, whatever it turns into in your stomach. And I don't know if it's different, like a different formula now, but it might have even been a year. Like it was there for a while.
Okay. And you
Now I'm over here
literally
feeling like, is it still there?
It's like, wait,
No, it's
I still
gone.
feel a little BB in there. Did you
No, it's
have
gone now.
did you ever have any issues with like a bad injection or anything going weird with that after the injection or no?
No, we did have a lady because they had to sit and like stare at it the whole time
Mm-hmm.
and like monitor, and then they had to like monitor some other stuff. And this one aide one time put our notebook, like we had these gigantic notebooks of our own personal stuff, and she set it on the shot and squeezed down, and the shot spread out. Actually, I think that's that one shot that stayed in that place now that you remind me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so nothing with the actual shot, none. Like I wouldn't even have much redness. I had more reaction from the EKG electrodes, the stickiness on the EKG electrodes that I had to wear for 24 hours
Mm-hmm.
afterwards than I did from the actual shot.
Okay. So I'm assuming that you tried to get clean before trying Sublocade, probably failed a bunch of times like most of us.
Yeah, and I had made it about 4 months at one point. So I went through, cold turkey, and my every night my legs hurt just all the time, and I just had no energy. I had no happiness. I mean, it was just the world was so dark and so painful that like nothing made sense. And with the Sublocade, it wasn't like that. It was like a new lease on life, even though you have to deal with a lot of emotions. But to
Yeah.
me, that's still a new lease on life as long as you can cope with it, which I didn't for a couple years, but then I did.
Okay. So I think
Still
that
like winning the
that's
lottery.
yeah, yeah, and the way that she talks about it, guys, how she says it feels like she won the lottery by finding Sublocade and experiencing Sublocade, right? Like you guys, I see the comments often, and a lot of people are skeptical and they think I want to hear from somebody who's been off of Sublocade, who's been off of it, who's had their last shot for at least a year ago. You guys are hearing Megan took her last shot. What year was it? 2014.
9.5 years ago was my
Nine
last
point.
shot. Was April of 2014 was my last shot.
Wow, that is so crazy. I'm surprised that they were testing this. I mean, it's good to know that they were at least testing this because it didn't hit the market till 2017, right?
Well, it didn't FDA approve until
Okay.
2017. I
Okay.
actually took some pictures. I wasn't supposed to, but like I took some pictures. Now, I don't think it would be a problem to release them. So if you want me to like send them over to an email or something, you want to like add them at the end. It's got like Vincent Associates. It's got like the study. It's got like the people about to get shots. It's got like, I mean, it's just kind of like it's just kind of like a tiny album of like freedom from opiates in 2013. The crazy thing is that so many other people were doing this study in 2013 and we're just like not at all. A lot of people just couldn't take it seriously. So
Wow. Yeah, it's so cool that you were like the one that did it and took it all seriously and actually made it through and now here we are
that's
10
just
years later.
that's just God. Like God always shows me ahead of time, like what the blessing is. Like I get to see it where other people, you know what I mean? And it's nothing to do with me. It's just that discernment of seeing how big a blessing is early on. And I saw in my first couple of days what a big blessing it was. The same when I got off of, I used meth up until 5 years ago. I used it for a couple years. And I got to get off meth. I went to Hazelden, a five
Mm-hmm.
and a half month Hazelden Betty Ford program. That's like a $75,000 live in therapy. I mean, who the heck gets something like that? Like, first I get the state of the art opiate treatment. Then I get the state of the art, mental health and meth treatment. I mean, I've been really blessed in my life, really blessed. My oldest son is 26. He's a Marine at 29 Palms, Joshua. And my youngest son is 3. So I've been blessed in a lot of ways in life.
That's awesome. I can tell, that you're very passionate about talking about this stuff. So it's cool to see and to hear your experience and what it was like. And I'm just still like just hearing what you said when I asked you about the withdrawal from Sublocade, like, because I hear some people say, similar, like no problem, no issue at all. And then I've heard other people sometimes
Nothing.
say like, I feel like minor withdrawals or something like that. Like you couldn't even tell anything different. Like you didn't have any depression kick
I
in
could,
out of nowhere or like
I
anything
couldn't.
you couldn't tell, huh? That's so cool.
I couldn't tell. Now, I was already kind of. I mean, there was some things I was going through personally that mentally I might not have noticed, like a few little nuances,
Yeah.
but there was definitely no opiate withdrawal symptoms. There was no cows or sows. That's sudden opiate withdrawal symptom.
You
Um,
ne- you never had restless
Neither of
legs or like
those.
bad
No
insomnia.
cravings. That's what. Nothing. No. Insomnia is something that I usually suffer from that I did
Mm.
not suffer from for at least 6 months after my last shot. Um, Also, the migraines thing. So I didn't have migraines. I didn't have cravings. That's the main thing. So
Okay.
cravings was one of the things that are. I mean, obviously, as opiate addicts, we know that
Yeah.
even sometimes on Suboxone, we have cravings. I never thought. I mean, the cravings were gone with the Sublocade. Like they just weren't there. Obviously, other people didn't feel that way because they were
Yeah.
still using. But
Yeah.
I think it's where you're at mentally too, because we
How
all know that
many
recovery is really an all encompassing thing.
Yeah. How many years were you addicted to opiates before you got on Sublocade?
9.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's I mean, you obviously had a pretty serious addiction. I'm glad you got out of that before
Very.
before all this fentanyl crap and I'm glad you were able to come on here and chat and you found this channel. It sounds like Paisley, did she try to link us up? That's I think you said earlier in the comments that's who it was, right?
Yeah, she did. Like she said, she was like there was a she did, but then she didn't, and then she thought that I just didn't link over, and I was like, oh no, you actually like left a blank comment instead of like actually putting. But then once she said your name, I was able to find it without a problem. I
Okay,
do
cool.
have like PTSD. Like I can't usually don't look at, talk to, or associate with men. I was attacked,
Oh my gosh.
but you're looking away from the camera. That's really nice and helpful for me. And
Okay.
like I said, this is bigger than brain damage and PTSD because it's life. So, does anybody
Yeah.
else have any questions before I go?
I'm sure they'll probably pick your brain in the comment section if you can hang out for a little bit, but I could definitely let you get off of here. I really appreciate
Uh
you,
huh.
Megan, taking your time out of your day and coming on here and hanging out with us and sharing your experience on Sublocade. That's an incredible story that you have there, and I'm glad that you're counting your blessings over there. Okay.
Thank you so much. And if you guys get like have some questions, maybe I can get on another time with some ahead of time, so it's easier for my brain.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sorry
Yeah.
for my
Hopefully we can
rambling.
see continue to see you around the channel in the future. Do you want to
Yes,
share your
absolutely.
TikTok with people or you don't want to share that on here?
I don't have a TikTok. I'm not really sure where Paisley got that from. I don't do
Oh,
social media. I just
okay.
did that doctor's channel. Sometimes I just go around commenting on things on YouTube.
I gotcha. Yeah, I don't do social
That's pretty
media
much all
either,
the
so
social media I do.
okay. Okay, Megan, well thank you. Hopefully we can see you in the
But this is
comments and
great.
stuff.
And thank you so much for your work with this. This is really
Absolutely.
great. And any of you guys struggling, don't give yourself a hard time. Don't feel guilty if you need assistance. Just reach out because this is not you being weak. This is a drug that's just too strong. Love you guys all.
All right, awesome. You're sweet. Thank you, Megan. We'll see you on the comment section. Awesome stuff, guys. Shout out to her for being brave and coming up on here and sharing her experience. That was awesome speaking to her and hearing from somebody. That's a literal definition of an OG with Sublocade right there. I mean, 10 years ago she tried Sublocade.